Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Norton, the founder of People Plus Purpose, and this is the Truth Behind Dentistry Podcast. And today, my guest is Allison Norris. Allison is the founder and, excuse me, CEO of the Dentele Group, the leading non-clinical recruiting agency renowned for its concierge approach to hiring. Recognized by Top Talent as the startup agency to watch in 2022, the Dentele Group, under Allison's leadership, specializes in placing non-clinical talent across executive, sales, operations, and technology roles. Allison actively mentors dental professionals, empowering them to find their passion and purpose. And being that my company's People Plus Purpose, I resonate with that. She also has been widely published, including in Dental Entrepreneur Women Magazine, Dentistry Today, and Group Dentistry Now. Welcome to the podcast, Allison.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I've been
Glad to be here.
looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely.
So it's been, I know from our previous conversations, it's been a journey for you. I think in some ways it seems like a surprise journey, maybe something you didn't fully expect. And also, obviously, some things have really gone right and gone well, given how far you've come in a seemingly relatively short period of time. So congratulations on that, for one thing.
Thank you.
But maybe you can stitch together a little bit of the journey that you've been on that's led you to where you are now.
Sure. So I was a dental hygienist and I had a wonderful hygiene career. I really did. But it came to an end in 2018. I decided to leave clinical dentistry and I did what the only thing I thought I could do, which was dental billing. And
Hmm.
so I went to go work at this dental billing outsourcing company called eAssist. And so I noticed some issues with some of my practices and I went to the CEO and I was like, have y'all considered a consulting division? And he was like, yeah, as a matter of fact, we have. And I said, well, can I help? And so next thing I know, I'm sitting in the meeting with these really amazing consultants building the consulting division over there for hygienists. And I thought that was super cool. Anyway, so it was time for me to move on. And so I left there and I started working at this orthodontic tech startup company, this aligner company. And I thought that I had found the place that I was going to retire. They had sold me on the fact that they were going to be bought out and I was going to be instrumental in their buyout. And so I gave my heart, my soul into it. And then one day, to put it nicely, they screwed me over. And it was rough. So I went through some depression. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. And so I said, I think I'm going to launch my own company. I want to build my dreams. I don't want to be building someone else's dreams. And so I said, I'm going to launch a recruiting agency. It's going to be a non-clinical one. And so that's what I did. And I had zero clue what I was doing. I still don't most days. But I launched it and it's been really successful. I'm very blessed. And then about a year and a half ago, I decided to try to streamline the process, make it a little bit easier. And so started developing an app. And so the app's going to be launching rather soon, and it's pretty awesome. So it's going to fix all the problems that we're having in with hiring in the dental industry. So
That's
where I am.
which is a big claim to make. That I'm excited to see it. That is a big claim, and
Yes.
my sense of you is it's likely true. But that feels like appreciate the honesty, the vulnerability in that. Because sometimes we like to mostly talk about where we're confident and what all we know, and not as easy to talk about where I have no idea what's going to happen here. But so it feels like this hero's journey. And what a lot of bravery, though, to end up with hitting a crashing place from what you'd expected was going to occur, where you had your heart invested in that, to rise from there and then to be able to move forward seemingly, and again, it's seemingly easily, right? I'm sure there were many days and nights that you could recount, but to move to have the level of success that you've had. So I think it's probably a combination of your willingness to walk into that, to get up and walk into that, which I think is important, but then also when there's a need that you apply yourself to with enough conviction, even when you
Yeah.
don't know everything, when you don't even have all the people in place yet, or that I think there's a providential opportunity that can become available. So good for you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see where it all goes, given that journey for you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's definitely, I've learned that apparently I'm a risk taker. So I take risk very easily. I don't know. I never thought I was like that though, but apparently I am. So
Well, maybe it's in your nature. Maybe it was partly born out of necessity. So
it's true.
hard to always know the combination sometimes. So what would you say are some of the core values? Because I know you're a value guided person that are guiding your approach to addressing challenges in dentistry. What do you see being primary there?
My values, I value transparency, honesty, and integrity. I run my life or being with integrity because at the end of the day, that's really the only thing that you can truly control, right? Is who you are on the inside. And so when I hold myself to certain standards, I hold my businesses, my companies to certain standards as well. So values, and then to be honest with you, I think that integrity a lot of time is what the dental industry is lacking. There's not, I'm starting to see that a lot of that it doesn't exist. And so I like to, and transparency too. I get candidates and even companies complaining to me all the time that they're not being transparent and they're thanking me for being transparent. So I think that that says something.
Yeah, I think that's really important to clarify what are the guiding values that we work by. How does that inform the relationships we have and relationships in business? It feels sad to me to hear you say that about, not that I'm in disagreement necessarily, but it feels kind of sad to have that be a truth for you that integrity is at a deficit. This is the Truth Behind Dentistry podcast, though, so apparently we're revealing some truths here. Is there anything more to say about that? And maybe what do you think is an answer for that? Or is there anything more that you'd comment as to how we improve that?
So I feel like, and I think that this is just because of what I went through. I don't want to see people going through what I did. And there's a couple companies in the industry that are known to have these massive layoffs. They'll lay off a massive, they'll hire a ton of people. And then 6 months later, they do a massive layoff and get rid of those and discard them like they're trash.
Mm. Oh,
And very just some of the stories I've heard have just been horrible. People out in the field doing a sales call, and all of a sudden their computer shuts down because that's when they're being terminated.
oh,
That's just unbelievable to me.
yeah.
But that is something that with those types of companies, I avoid those. And when candidates contact me and ask me about the reputation of certain companies, I like to be truthful and I like to tell them, why don't you look at insights that you'll find on LinkedIn and see what their retention rate is? Or I try to be kind of that go-to person.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm too transparent, to be honest with you, Matthew. I think I might hurt some people's feelings, but I don't mean to. It's just, I feel like if I'm not going to tell them the truth, then nobody else will. So, because a lot of times, if you just stick your head in the sand, then it's just, I don't know. I don't,
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, I think it's a good question to say, how can we be better? I think that's a good question for any of us to ask ourselves. How can a company be better than they are? But even individually, because I think in part, I mean, it may mention dental industry, but I think just as human beings, industry non-specific, I think humans can be better. And it
Yeah,
makes me think too about some research that talked about problems in business, that 76% of the problems in business were on the people relational side. Kind of fits
yeah,
right into that versus 24 that were really more in the finance and technical detail process side. So as
yeah,
much as those are important, I think, especially as companies get bigger, the care and attention and valuing of individuals tends to fall more by the wayside or is at least harder to accomplish. right? So
Hmm.
I think that is an area. If you're going to scale a business, right? It's one thing when you're a solopreneur or you hire a first person or two or three, that's one thing. But when you scale to bigger and bigger, keeping that human piece of valuing and communicating well, not shutting people's computers off midstream. I think
Yeah,
those are ways we can be better.
I completely agree. I don't mean to be a damper on the podcast.
No, no, wait, this is truth behind dentistry, right? So we have to be willing to be honest, right?
Yeah,
Honesty is important. What can we see that we're not seeing? What are we doing and how are we being that we haven't looked at well enough? And so
yeah,
I think that that's important, and we can try to be nice as much as possible in that process, but
right,
sometimes honesty may look like not nice.
right, exactly. I think a lot of times these companies are just, they grow too fast. They get excited and they grow too fast. And I can almost see it. I see a company that has 40 open roles, you start up, then I'm always watching because I'm always thinking, when's the layoff going to be? Because most of the time they get that investment and then they decide to, oh, let's go into our growth phase and let's start hiring tons of people.
Right?
And then it happens. It's inevitable sometimes. So
Yeah.
they just get too big for their britches.
Well, so
Anyway,
shifting slightly anyway.
yes,
So the Dentele
please.
Group, tell me a little bit about what makes your company stand out and be unique in the industry.
So we have a different process. We don't just place an ad and submit every single candidate. We really try to narrow down to the perfect fit, and we align these candidates based on goals and values and the vision of these companies. And the vision of the candidate too, of course. But so we'll start out doing phone screening. We'll do a video interview and we record that. We will do personality assessments because I think that that's key, and we truly try to align the candidate with the company. I could easily just fill a role and get paid.
Right.
And that's the last thing I want to do. And in the beginning, there were some clients that I worked with, or there was one in particular that I worked with, and it was one of those learning lessons, right? Because all of a sudden, my candidates started telling me how miserable they were.
Mhm.
And so I learned my lesson there. I said, I've got to work with companies that I align with so that my values align with. And
Mhm.
so that's really ultimately at the end of the day, what we should all try to strive for is partnering with companies with values that align with ours. And when you're getting a job, don't just go for the almighty dollar.
Right.
Find a company that you're going to align with on an emotional level
Right.
and on a value level. So that's a little bit. I went off on a tangent, but we're very comprehensive, and I run my business with heart because at the end of the day, it's my reputation, and that's all I have control of. So
That's good. And it being non-clinically focused, right?
that's non-clinical.
So that differentiates you to a degree over all those that are speaking into that world, right? Although
Yes.
I'm not familiar with how many other maybe competitors in the industry there might be who are focused on non-clinical. In that non-clinical world, it seems like you're still saying, talking about how you're personalizing it, right? You're trying to
Yes.
find the most custom fit that's going to work
Yes.
maybe on all levels, right? That their strengths are right for the job, but that this is a company that they could love.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm so glad that you said non-clinical. So it's non-clinical. And so it started out being just wanting to be able to offer clinicians the opportunities that I knew how I felt. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to offer them the same thing that I had because it took me forever to figure out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. And so being able to help candidates figure that out too is rewarding. Being able to help them figure out what their future may be
Right.
and where they're going to thrive. So
Now, how often what's the breakdown in terms of how many people are coming from clinical and they're working with you to locate non-clinical alternative options versus people who are coming to you from scratch, never were on the clinical side, but are coming for non-clinical roles?
Oh, honestly, I have so many people that reach out to me every single day, Matthew. It's kind of crazy. And so, of those people, I have some that are clinicians and some that are already in non-clinical roles. I would say it just depends on the day. There's some roles that would be perfect for, uh, let me back up. So, what I do is I'm very strategic about my clients that I work with, and I like to develop partnerships with companies that will help my clinicians, right? Because I still feel like a commitment to them. And so there may be a lot of companies that don't want to hire clinicians, but then there are a few there are some that want to, they see their value.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I like to strategically plan who I'm going to work with. And I like to develop those partnerships. So I keep going off on tangents. I'm terrible at these podcasts.
You're doing fine. The relationship that you like to have, seems like a relationship going both ways to where you're caring for those clients of yours that you're trying to help place, but also you're doing that by developing relationships on the other side rather than just pointing them into something. Uh,
Yes.
Trying to make that seems like that helps make more of a custom fit when you can relate on both sides. So, what do you see, whether it's still within that hiring realm or even any other direction that stands out to you? What do you see in terms of dentistry as we evolve and move into the next 5 or 10 years? How do you see things changing? And maybe how does that fit for you and your role and what you want to contribute?
So, well, dentistry is finally catching up to the times in terms of technology, right? AI is making a big change or a big hit in the industry right now. There's automations and there's ways to make practices run more efficiently. And I was looking at this company the other day that's really cool, but it's one of those, it's a robot, right? For clinicians, I'm sorry. And it is impressive. The things that they can do, it's just technology is amazing. And so I'm thinking that there's going to be technology that continues to help practices grow and thrive, which is what we need.
Mhm.
The industry needs our businesses, our practices, the whole industry to thrive so that we can continue. See where I'm going with this?
So technology advancements and AI for probably improving on the clinical side, right? There's a lot that's happening there, but you're also seeing that and bringing that right through your app, moving into an app direction,
Yes.
right on the recruiting side. So that's technology in the people part as well as the clinical side.
Yes, absolutely. My app is pretty awesome. I feel so blessed that I'm even given this opportunity. And it just makes it simple. It makes it all the things that we pretty much took all the things that employers complain about and all the things that candidates complain about, and we tried to fix them.
Yeah.
And because it's hiring is not supposed to be as difficult as we've made it. It's really not. And if we could just take it back some notches and add some automation and AI
Yeah.
into it, and then we're gonna fix it.
Yeah, yeah. I think anything that makes hiring easier is a really good thing because it is a bane for in many people's lives. And there's not with the feeling of I don't have enough time. I don't have time to deal with all of this. I'm often in from my coaching perspective, trying to help people do a better job as leaders in their own growth and development, their own communication skills. How do we help current team members thrive so we have less turnover or less toleration that ends up in divorce eventually, right?
Right.
And so I think there's things we can do to prevent the degree of hiring need, but there's so many factors that go into hiring and what people's life situations are that I think it's inevitable it's going to be occurring and people want to make changes, they want to grow, they want to change and do something different.
Yeah.
So we can help make that easier for people to accomplish that. And technology, why leave technology out of that, right? It seems like that's
Right.
got to make it simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm
couldn't.
looking forward to experiencing it. What's the guesstimate, would you say, on that app readiness for prime time?
Well, to be honest with you, every time I come on one of these podcasts, I say, oh, it's going to be ready in this amount of time. And then it's not. So
Yeah.
I don't want to give an answer. I feel like it's jinxing me.
Okay.
But I would say my developer and I were talking and we're aiming for the end of this month or mid February. We'll see.
Well, whether it's
Fingers
whether it's
crossed.
exactly then or not, then at least it's this year, maybe first half of the year, maybe first quarter.
Yes.
We can back it up, push it out, but it's coming. So that's great. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see it, to experience it, and certainly something that because I believe that's an important contribution, something I would want to share with others. So
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. So anything else, final thoughts you want to leave us with? And then maybe also, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, to learn more about what you're up to and stay abreast of what's coming?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so they can reach out to me on LinkedIn or via email. And my email is Allison Norris at thedentelegroup.com. And I thank you for having me on your podcast. Not the best guest. I'm all over the place, but at least I'm honest about it.
I think we channeled you into
Thank you so much for having me.
my pleasure. So I feel like there was clear value even in the midst of maybe we meandered a bit at a few moments, but I think it was good. And I'm just proud of where you've come from and where you are now. And I'm excited to see how this goes in the future for you. I expect
Thank you.
risk taking, I think good things are going to come, right? So
Thank you. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Absolutely. Well,
I really appreciate
thank
it.
you for your time. So, thank you everybody for watching. This is the Truth Behind Dentistry podcast. I've been with Allison Norris of the Dentele Group, and please reach out to her. Keep informed on what's coming with her hiring app, and look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode.
Thank you.